Welcome to a short reflection by Sebastian Mahfood on Canto 26 of Dante's Inferno. Dante and Virgil move from the 7th Bolgia of the thieves to the 8th Bolgia of the evil counselors, where Dante discerns that the evil counselors are wrapped within the flames that burn them. In their lives, their tongues damned those whom they beguiled, so in death they are trapped in tongues of flame. It's notable that some tongues are forked, bearing within them two sinners, as is the case of the first two with whom Dante wishes to speak, Ulysses and Diomede. Like Paolo and Francesca in the second circle, though, this infernal comradeship brings with it no joy. In other cases, such as that of Guido da Montefeltro, whom we'll meet in the next canto, they remain alone in their torture, burning eternally with the hellfire they caused on earth. In the case of these two evil counselors in particular, the hellfire they raised on earth is sung about in Homer's Iliad. Virgil gives 3 reasons only for their presence here: that Ulysses master-minded the plan to create the horse wherein he and his men would hide as it was brought through the gates of Troy; that Ulysses it was who wooed Achilles away from his wife to a war that Achilles knew would take his life; and Diomede's and Ulysses' theft of the Palladium, a statue of Athena, that guarded Troy and kept it safe. Diomede, further, had master-minded the plan to steal King Rhesus's horses. So thievery was as much at play here as evil counseling, but leading men astray is worse than stealing from them. Virgil intercedes on Dante's behalf with Ulysses for a couple of reasons. First, he'd written about the Trojan War, too, in his Aeneid, where he had Aeneas tell the story of Troy's fall due to the craftiness of Ulysses. And second, these Greeks might find Dante's Tuscan speech, removed as it is from a classical language, contemptible. Virgil at least knew Greek, though there is no indication that he addressed the Greeks in it. Dante, on the other hand, is writing in the Italian vernacular. He is the first to do that kind of thing. His question is simple: how did it come about that one of you, and Ulysses takes the address to mean him, being lost, came to die? Ulysses answers that he had convinced his men to sail with him beyond the known world, to explore the boundaries of man in both virtue — excellence is more his meaning — and knowledge. They turned south, once past the Pillars of Hercules, the gap separating what we know as Gibraltar and Morocco, and enter the Atlantic Ocean. After 5 months at sea, they see a mountain higher than any ever beheld, Mount Purgatory, and are sunk by an angel of God for daring to get too close to the gates of heaven by human wits alone. The fate of Ulysses and Diomede, both thieves and evil counselors, demonstrates Dante's step-by-step method here in the 8th circle, where the sinners he depicts in each Bolgia are also guilty of lesser sins, and that those lesser sins are a gateway to the greater ones. While Ulysses is punished for his abuse of his wits in his interpersonal relationships, he was killed for the crime of trying to exceed human limits through those wits alone. To avoid this fate, one simply has to recognize within the gifts one has received the giver who has provided them to us. If we don't rein in our enthusiasm over ourselves, we'll fall into hubris, or excessive, overweening pride, which is what Dante has to warn himself against in this canto, when he says that he has to curb, more than he is accustomed to doing so, his genius, so that it may not run without virtue as its guide. God wants us to use our gifts and to share them with others, but he also wants us to acknowledge their source, which lies not in us, but outside of us, so that through our strength we may demonstrate humility, and through our weakness we may boast in him.